There is nothing wrong with your television. We are controlling transmission. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind to Brunswick area television.
I'm Ed Zackery, Director of the Medina County Veterans Service Office. Welcome to Salute to Service, a show about Medina County and our veterans. What we hope to capture in this program are some of the many achievements, heroic deeds, and sacrifices of our past and present warriors from here in Medina County. We also hope to highlight the many accomplishments that they have continued to make as veterans right here in our community. Again, welcome to Salute to Service. Welcome to this month's Salute to Service. Today I'm here with Mr. John Stevenson from Chippewa Lake, Ohio. How you doing, John?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
Sun's out, I feel a lot better.
It's a beautiful summer day, isn't it?
Beautiful
it
summer
sure
day.
is. So, Mr. Stevenson is an Army veteran, correct?
Yep,
And you enlisted in 1948?
yep,
And that's right after World War II.
yep.
What made you enlist into the Army?
Well, West Virginia, I come from West Virginia. There wasn't no work for young guys back then except the coal mines. And my father said, you don't want to end up in the coal mines. So just get out and go to Holland automobile.
So you enlisted in the Army. And a couple years later, 1948, you enlisted, went to basic training, Fort Bragg, you said?
Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
And so you were in the 82nd Airborne, and
Airborne to give us a training, a basic training there.
did you go to paratrooper school or anything, or
What?
did you go to paratrooper school or anything like that?
No, I signed up for it, but they had too many cycles ahead, and they wouldn't keep me.
They
They
keep
sent
you
me
in.
to Japan.
So before you went to Japan, how was basic training? Was it pretty tough?
The Marines think they're tough. I think ours was just as tough.
I'd have to agree with you on that, I think. So when you got out of basic training, then you said you went to Japan, right?
Yes.
And so this is kind of the precursor before the Korean War. The war hadn't started over in Korea yet, had it?
Nope.
And what was your job in the Army at that point?
At the Army, well, I was in the infantry for a while. Then I went to correspondence school, and I done a lot of paperwork then. Got out of hard work.
So you got out of the infantry. So what did you wind up doing then? What was
I
your
was a
job?
mail clerk most of the time.
And so you were the mail clerk in Japan? In Japan?
In Japan, yeah.
So what year did you get to Japan? About 1949 or so, or
Early 49.
early 49? So 1950 rolls around, and the Korean War starts about midway through 1950,
Yep.
correct? China kind of came down and invaded the South. North Korea invaded the South and all that.
This was July, the war started, and the Chinese invaded around the end of August.
End of August. So when that happened, you pretty much knew you were going to Korea, I assume.
Oh, well, I was in Korea before they invaded. I was only in Korea about 7 months altogether. But when the winter started, I was in the Manchuria border about end of August, and it was cold up there then.
And you were over there about 9 months then. You didn't come back till 1951 or so. You remember when you came home?
No, I come back home because I had 90 days furlough card coming.
Okay, so you came home a little bit early.
Yeah.
So when you were over in Korea, you went back to the infantry, so obviously you saw quite a bit of combat over there, I assume.
Chosen fuel was the worst.
Was the worst? And that was the crossing of the Chosun
Yeah.
River, correct?
Yeah. That was the worst. It was so cold. the guys, I think, lost half their memory because we didn't get no sleep. We didn't have no winter sleeping bags.
No cold weather gear, nothing, huh?
We didn't have the cold weather gear.
And so that was what, November of 50?
November of 50, it started about around the 20th of November. It ended up right before Christmas, Chosin Reservoir.
Chosin Reservoir battle.
It's when we got out of there.
And I mean, if my history's right, that was pretty much when you fought the Chinese back to one of the parallels.
When we got there, we shoved the North Koreans all the way back to the Manchuria border. Then that's when the Chinese come in.
And started to help.
Shoved us back
right.
to Hamnock.
So, can you tell me anything about, you know, the battle of the Chosin River, what you remember, what your memories are of it?
Not really. I just can't remember that much of it. I don't even remember getting on a boat, getting out of there.
You just remember it was really cold.
I know I was so cold, so sleepy, I guess. Everybody was, because we hadn't slept for days, really. And when we got on the boat, they just left the child thing open till we woke up. Then they fed us.
So how did you get across? Originally, you guys crossed the river. How did you get across the river?
We didn't cross the river.
You didn't?
No.
So you stayed on this side?
Not the Yellow River, yeah. No,
okay.
We did not cross the Yellow River.
Okay, all right.
I was on the border right there. Because I seen one of the first jets I ever seen in my life. There was two of them flying over. And I said, them little smart guys, so lucky they can get back and get a sleeping bag tonight. I didn't more than say that, and one of them got shot down.
Wow.
I'll never forget that.
So
it is a hard thing to see. The plane hit the ground and just shatter.
Just obliterated, I assume.
It never did.
So when they pulled you out of there, what happened when you came off of the Chosin Reservoir? Where'd you go then?
They give us about a week's rest, then we were right back into it again.
Do you remember where at that point?
We was in one middle, you know, one time after the other, we just all fighting about it practically every day seemed like.
So what kind of weapon and stuff did you carry in the infantry?
I started out with a rifle, but I volunteered to carry the BAR, the more firepower.
So you had an M1
to start with.
And then you carried the bar. That's what Bonnie and Clyde carried, isn't it? That's
what it is.
Yeah, a lot of firepower there.
It's not a weight, but I carried it.
So didn't you work in two-man teams then? The guy carrying the bar, one guy would carry the weapon, one guy would carry ammo for it?
Well, but we just had the weapon ammo to anybody could help us carry it.
Oh, okay. All right, so they just dropped the shells off.
Nobody had a certain job then because it was so disordinated, it's pitiful. Because we had half our guys almost half our people were rock soldiers, couldn't understand English.
So you had South Korean soldiers integrated in with your unit, huh?
Yep, they sure did.
Wow.
When we went to Korea that day, they were right with us. But like I say, it was hard for them and hard for us, really.
Right. You didn't have any interpreters or anything like that, I assume.
Well, some of them could speak a little bit of English. That helped us a little bit, but very little.
So after you came off the Chosin, you had a couple more battles and stuff. And at what point did you know you were going to come home? Or did they pull your unit back, or did they just pull you out when you were coming home?
They pulled me back. They came up in line and told me, John, you're going home. Get your ass out of here.
And that was at the end of your tour?
Yep.
Now, during your tour, did you get any R&R, like a couple days pass to go anywhere or something?
One time, I got a pass to go to Japan for 3 days. And that was it.
Where'd you go at in Japan? You remember? Tokyo?
Tokyo. I couldn't even think of it.
So what do you remember of Tokyo? That had to be a lot of fun, actually, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. It was a nice town.
Yep. Some girls, some booze, all that good stuff?
Oh, look, very nice back then.
Yeah. So you spent 3 days, you had to go back to the war, I assume. About how long were you in Korea in the war when you got that 3-day pass?
Right, you know what? I got that pass about a month before I come home.
Okay. So you knew you had to go back?
Or I wouldn't have won the pass.
So you went back, but then you went back to Korea for about a month, huh?
Yep.
Did you go back up on the line for that month?
Yep.
So
right back on the line.
I assume that 3-day pass, you probably got some sleep though, huh?
Oh, yeah.
It's a little different being able to sleep peaceful than sleeping in combat zone.
It's nice getting in a bed for Gene.
I can imagine. So after the war, or after, you know, when you knew you were coming back, where did you come back to the States to after the war?
I come back to the States. I started out when I come back home, Fort Knox, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Then they transferred me to Pennsylvania for about 4 months. Then they sent me to Fort Meade, Maryland. That's where I got discharged.
That's where you got discharged. What did you do when you come back? Anything? I mean, did you know?
Nothing special. Nothing special.
You knew you were going to get out of the service at that point, I assume.
I was in radar training in Fort Meade, Maryland, so that was nice.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So, any awards, medals over there when you came back? Obviously, you didn't get injured by any bullets or anything like that. I know.
No, and I've lucked out. I did get energy at all. Energy. So,
you got 3 silver stars for the battle stars for the Korean War for those 3 main battles, though, right?
Right.
One's for the Chosun Reservoir battle, and then the other 2.
They said they got one, but I never seen it yet. So
okay,
they may have.
So you got out of the service, and I know you're a member of the Chosun Few, and you're a member of quite a few other organizations too, the Veterans of Foreign Wars in Medina,
the
American Legion, and Disabled American Veterans. What did you do when you got out of the service?
I got out of the service. I don't think I was home a week before the VFW come to ask me to join them.
Really?
It cost me $5.
Well, it's pretty cheap back then. Well, today it's pretty cheap. Back then it was a lot of money.
You had a lot of money back then, so.
So you've been a member of the VFW now, going on quite a few years, I assume,
Yep.
if you joined back then.
Yep. American Legion, 30 years, 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got out of the service. You got married. You come to Ohio, or
yep.
You came down to Medina, right?
I lived in Cleveland, around Brook Park area for several years.
And then you moved out here to Medina in the 70s. So what did you do when you got out, though? I mean, where'd you go to work at?
Goodyear Aircraft to start with in Akron.
And then you got a job at Ford, where you eventually retired from. So, anything else you want to tell me about Korea? Any memories of it? Good, bad, indifferent?
It's so hard. It's so long ago. It was such a hard situation at the time. But if I had to do over, I'd do it again.
You'd do it again?
I'd do it again because I cared this much about our country.
And that's really what it's all about.
That's what it's all about.
Patriotism. So what did you do? I mean, combat is a horrible situation for anybody to be in. What did you do on a daily basis to get you through that? How did you cope with that?
You know what? You depend on the fellow next around you. It's like a, I don't know how you explain it, but you're a group of guys. It's like sitting around a big table sometimes. Mm-hmm. You got to depend on them to help you out when you needed help, and you help them out.
Cohesion. You look to each other.
There were no easy situations around it.
Did you miss your family when you're over there?
Yeah, because I was gone almost 3 years before I seen my family.
And you had to write letters back and forth?
Yeah, letters back and forth almost 3 years. Here what happened. I was going to re-enlist in Japan. But if I re-enlisted, they told me I was going back to Korea. I said, no, I'm not. I'm going home.
Good choice, probably.
3 years. 3 years is enough.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So you came home and you got a job and you settled into the community. How do you think your military experience, whether it was in Korea or just being in the military, how do you think that shaped you as a person? I mean, what did it change about you?
As a person, I tell you what, it learned me how to get along with other people, regardless who they are.
Mm-hmm.
People are people, they're human beings, and they learned you to get along with people. That's what they taught me more.
All walks of life, right?
All walks of life. So,
anything you want to say about the organizations you belong to, or anything? I mean, what's the VFW in Medina do, and the Legion and stuff like that? I mean,
VFW to me is one of the finest outfits in the world.
Really?
And the disabled veterans, it's a very fine group too. But right now, I see what the VFW does more right now for the wounded soldiers and stuff.
I think all organizations do quite a bit. I mean, they're all got their own little niche, and they do a lot.
They do a lot. You're right, and we deserve them all. We're thankful for what we got.
And you're pretty active down there at the post in Medina. I mean, I know you've done a lot.
I have been for years when I was able to do things, but right now I just sit and listen now.
Well, you gotta let somebody else do the work now, right?
Let somebody else do the work.
There you go. All right. Well, anything else you want to tell me before we close up here?
I want to say is one thing: the young people, women and men both, don't be ashamed to serve for your country. This is a wonderful country we live in, and I'm proud I've done it.
I appreciate your service, and thank you.
And I'm glad I can help you out a little bit.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ed.
I never thought I would need it.
It happened unexpectedly.
My family needed me.
I didn't know where to turn.
My parents needed help.
Where do I go if this happens to me again?
How do I navigate the resources?
Is there anyone who helps with that?
I am strong.
I am willing.
I am confident. I call 211.
A free community service that connects you with information about social, health, and government resources specific to Medina County. Call 211 for the info you need 24 hours a day.
211 met my needs.
211 helped my parents.
211 showed me the way.
I called 211.
This program was brought to you by the same men and women that also brought you your freedoms. Thank you for watching Salute to Service.
Each year, thousands of people come to visit the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Many reach out and touch the wall to feel some of the 58,000 names that are etched in black stone. They were people whose lives had meaning. The Education Center at the wall will preserve the images, letters, and stories of those who served so that their lives will never be forgotten. Call or click now and help us build it.
Welcome home, man.